YouTube, and welcome back. So if you guys remember a few videos ago, I'd done this single pillar pod, and I had to do a couple more tweaks. I did some more paint coats. Also, I had to cut out a notch down here because it interfered with that. So now it fits just fine. And actually, I might not even need to use tape because it'll wedge against this. But the whole reason for installing that, since I'm still under the dash doing all this other electrical stuff, I got a hold of a Speedhut gauge. Now, some of you know when you run different size tires from factory, it's actually going to affect your Speedo. And on top of that, with the way my steering wheel's set up, the position I prefer to hold it, I actually have a hard time seeing my Speedo. And one thing I got really used to in my old Z was it had a heads-up display that ran the speed. So what this is, it's a speedometer, and you can order it in custom colors. So I got one that pretty much goes with the rest of my gauges in the factory look. And it uses a GPS signal. So it has all the receiver and everything in here, and we'll mount it up, and what it will do is it'll get an accurate GPS signal. It's really quick responsive. There's good reviews. If you remember TrumanPriest, the guy we did the review or interview with on his All-Track, he's actually switched out his major gauges for all Speedhut stuff, and he's been real happy with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all wired up and hooked up, and we'll take it for a quick drive and just see what it's like. All right, I've got everything installed now, but before we go for a ride, I want to just show you guys how this illuminates. And that's really the only gripe I have, and it's not its fault. It's that it's a newer technology. It looks much better, and it just doesn't go as well with the other gauges. This is you can see back there the factory illumination, and then below is the autometer, which just uses a bulb. Now the autometer matches more closely to the stock. It's sort of a yellow-green lighting. I'm hoping that maybe I can upgrade the bulbs in there to make them a little bit closer to the gauge, and maybe long term, if I'm pretty happy with the Speedhut gauge, they make other gauges for the water temp and the boost, and I'll consider replacing those below as well, which will give me more uniform lighting overall. But it's very visible, easy to see at night. I wish it was LCD versus just the gauge. Standard sweeping, just because it would be easier for me to quickly just see what the speed is, but it works fine. So let's go take it for a little run and see how it works. Now, as you can see, I have a heads-up display that I'm able to better see, since the way I keep my steering wheel blocks a large portion of my cluster. Also, since I run different size wheels and tires from factory, the rolling diameter is different, which causes the Speedo to read different at different speeds. And while I used to do the math in my head to get a better estimate, this is going to be more accurate, as well as more affordable than me either replacing the entire cluster or getting a Speedo gear made, which I don't even know what that would cost. And even if I did get one made, the problem that I would run into there is I wouldn't be able to change it all the time if I decided to go with different tire sizes, where this automatically adjusts because it based itself off my speed from the GPS satellite. And it's a really fast sensor, and it's been pretty reliable as far as I can tell. So it seems to react pretty well. You can see the gauge move as you go. The only downfall, I would say, and they have a feature that works against this, but I opted not to use it since I don't drive that much, is you can actually wire the gauge in directly to where it maintains power to the sensor, and you'll keep your GPS signal for up to 4 hours. So all that does is it means that it's going to connect faster once you start the car, but I don't drive very fast usually once I first get in the car anyway. So that 60 seconds you're waiting for that signal, I can rely on this cluster here, or I can just watch my speed. But I wait 30 seconds before I take off in the car anyway after I started it, just for the sake of allowing the engine to get itself primed. So anyway, just show you real quickly. But if you can tell, I'm I'm showing you both these, the stock Speedo and this new one at the same time, so you get an idea of how fast it reacts. It seems to be pretty spot on with the factory one. And just for me being able to maintain or monitor my speed while I'm driving on the highway and not get a ticket if I need to adjust it, I think it's worthwhile. So anyway, let's take a look at Mark's setup. I'll show you here in the next video, and it's just neat how he's replaced all these gauges with Speedhut gauges. It looks good, and they're really good quality gauges. So, you know, overall, it wasn't a bad install. A few more wires than I expected, but it does match the stock cluster pretty well, besides the lighting. I think it was, overall, it's going to work out for me. I did get used to having a heads-up display in my Z, and I think that was a great feature, especially since it's just that much less you have to look down. And, you know, it's not being lazy or anything, it's just that it's sort of in your view all the time, and it's easy to maintain the speed that you're wanting to when you're on the highway and stuff. Where the way I keep my steering wheel now, I can only see when I'm doing like 60 to 120 or whatever. And it's not that often I'm doing that, especially when I'm driving around town. Speed limits are pretty low around here. So anyway, but yeah, I think this was a good purchase. Check out Mark's display. It looks really good. I'll post some links to some pictures as well. But anyway, thanks for watching us and help supporting, you know, the show. And we keep doing it for you guys, and so we can spread the word about all tracks and hopefully get more parts made and stuff like that. So anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time, and take care.